Most people believe danger makes noise. They expect it to announce itself, to give them a chance to step back, to think, to escape. But the truth is far more unsettling than that, because the deadliest creatures on this planet don't warn you. They don't chase you. They don't need to. They simply exist, perfectly designed for one moment, one mistake, one step too close. And when that moment comes, everything changes faster than your mind can process. Because snakes don't rely on fear the way we understand it. They rely on precision, they rely on timing, and most importantly, they rely on you not knowing they're there. Today, we're going to uncover the top 10 deadliest snakes in the world, not based on size, not based on appearance, but on something far more important, how efficiently they can end a life. And as we count down, something will become very clear. The higher we go, the less time you have. Less time to react, less time to understand, less time to survive. By the time we reach number 1, you'll realize something most people never think about. That survival isn't always about strength or speed. Sometimes it's about whether you even realize the danger existed in the first place. So before you watch any further, ask yourself one question. If you were standing just a few feet away from one of these snakes right now, would you recognize the danger? Or would you already be too late? Let's begin with number 10, the fer-de-lance. Found in countries like Brazil, Costa Rica, and throughout Central and South America, this snake doesn't rely on isolation. It doesn't hide far away from people. It lives where people live. Forest edges, plantations, walking paths, places where a single step can bring you face to face with something you never expected. What makes the fer-de-lance dangerous isn't just its venom, although that alone is enough to cause severe tissue damage, internal bleeding, and life-threatening complications. What makes it truly dangerous is how often it comes into contact with humans. It doesn't need to hunt you. You walk into its world without realizing it. And when it strikes fast, injecting venom that begins breaking down tissue almost immediately. Pain spreads, swelling intensifies, and without treatment, the situation can escalate quickly. This isn't a rare encounter. In many regions, it's one of the most common causes of snakebite injuries, which means the danger isn't distance, it's frequency. Now imagine walking through a field or stepping off a trail for just a moment, not knowing that something is already watching from the ground beneath you. At number 9, we move into Africa. The puff adder. A snake that proves something very important. Speed isn't always necessary to be deadly, because the puff adder doesn't chase, it doesn't flee, it doesn't even move much at all. It relies on camouflage, blending perfectly into its surroundings, becoming almost invisible against dry grass or fallen leaves. And that's where the danger begins, because most bites don't happen from aggression, they happen from accident. Someone steps too close, or directly on it, and in that instant, the puff adder strikes with incredible speed. Its venom is cytotoxic, meaning it destroys tissue, causing severe pain, swelling, and in many cases, permanent damage. In Africa, this snake is responsible for a significant number of snakebite incidents, not because it seeks conflict, but because it stays still when others would move away. And that stillness is what makes it dangerous, because you don't see it, you don't expect it, and by the time you realize what just happened, it's already done. Now we move to number 8, the boomslang. Found in sub-Saharan Africa, this snake challenges everything people think they know about danger, because at first glance, it doesn't look threatening. It's slender, calm, almost unremarkable. But what makes the boomslang different is how it delivers its venom, and how that venom works. Unlike many snakes that strike and release, the boomslang often chews, ensuring the venom enters the bloodstream properly. And once it does, the effects are not immediate, which is what makes it terrifying. Hours can pass before symptoms appear. Everything seems normal, and then slowly, bleeding begins. From the gums, the nose, internally. The venom interferes with the body's ability to clot blood, leading to hemorrhaging that becomes increasingly difficult to control. And by the time you realize something is wrong, the damage is already severe. This is not a fast death. It's a silent one that gives you just enough time to understand what's happening, but not enough to stop it. At number 7, we move into something more familiar, yet no less dangerous. The eastern diamondback rattlesnake, found in the southeastern United States. This is the largest venomous snake in North America, and unlike many others on this list, it does give a warning. That unmistakable rattle, a sound that instantly triggers fear. But here's the problem. People rely on that warning too much. Because rattlesnakes don't always rattle. And even when they do, the strike can come faster than your reaction time allows. Its venom is hemotoxic, attacking blood cells and tissue, causing intense pain, swelling, and serious internal damage. Without prompt medical treatment, the situation can become life-threatening. But what makes this snake especially dangerous is proximity. It lives in areas where people hike, explore, and sometimes relax, not expecting that danger could be just a few feet away. And that's the pattern you should start to notice. These snakes don't need to come to you. You go to them, and often, you don't even realize it. And as we move higher on this list, something begins to change. The snakes aren't just dangerous because of where they live. They're dangerous because of what they're capable of doing in a very short amount of time. Because from this point forward, it's no longer about injury. It's about survival. And the further we go, the less time you have to fight back. At number 6, we leave behind the illusion of control completely, because this is where snakes stop being unpredictable and start becoming efficient. The Russell's viper, found across India, Sri Lanka, and parts of Southeast Asia, is one of the most dangerous snakes, not just because of its venom, but because of how often humans encounter it. It lives close to farmland, villages, and areas where people walk barefoot, often without realizing what could be hidden just inches away. At first glance, it doesn't look fast. It doesn't look aggressive. In fact, it often appears slow, almost calm, until it isn't. Because when it decides to strike, the speed is almost impossible to process. Its venom attacks the blood, causing clotting issues, internal bleeding, and severe organ damage. Victims often experience kidney failure, intense pain, and life-threatening complications if treatment isn't immediate. And here's what makes it truly terrifying. This snake doesn't need to hunt you. It doesn't need to chase you. All it needs is one moment where you step too close without realizing it's there. And in regions where medical access is limited, that one moment can turn into something far worse. Because by the time help arrives, the damage has already begun. Now we move to number 5, and this is where speed becomes part of the danger. The coastal taipan, found in Australia and parts of Papua New Guinea, is a snake that combines multiple threats into one. It's fast, highly venomous, and capable of delivering multiple bites in a single encounter. But what truly sets it apart is how its venom works. It's a powerful neurotoxin, meaning it begins shutting down the nervous system almost immediately. Muscles weaken, breathing becomes difficult, and without treatment, the situation escalates rapidly. But the real danger lies in how quickly everything happens. There's very little time between the moment of the bite and the moment you realize something is seriously wrong. And in the wild, where distance from medical help can be measured in hours, not minutes, that time matters. Australia is known for its dangerous wildlife, but the coastal taipan represents something different. It's not just dangerous, it's precise. Every movement, every strike, every reaction, designed for efficiency. And when something is built like that, it doesn't need a second chance. At number 4, we move into something that doesn't just rely on venom, it relies on volume. The king cobra, found across India, Southeast Asia, Indonesia, and the Philippines, is the longest venomous snake in the world. But its size is only part of the story. What makes the king cobra truly dangerous is how much venom it can deliver in a single strike. Enough to take down large animals, even elephants. Its venom targets the nervous system, causing paralysis and respiratory failure if untreated. But what makes this encounter even more intense is the behavior. Unlike many snakes that strike and retreat, the king cobra can rise up, lifting a third of its body off the ground, looking directly at you. It doesn't rush, it doesn't panic, it assesses. And that moment, that brief pause, is often your only warning. Because once it decides to strike, the amount of venom delivered is enough to make survival uncertain without immediate treatment. This isn't just a snake reacting. This is a predator making a decision. And in that moment, everything depends on what you do next. Now we reach number 3, and this is where things become truly unforgiving. The black mamba, found across sub-Saharan Africa, is often described as one of the most feared snakes in the world. And that fear isn't exaggerated, because the black mamba combines speed, aggression, and highly potent venom into one of the most efficient predators on land. It can move at speeds faster than most people can run for short distances, and when it feels threatened, it doesn't hesitate. It strikes. And now, as we move toward the final part of this list, something changes again. Because from here on, it's no longer just about how dangerous these snakes are. It's about how little chance you have once the encounter happens. Because the top 2 snakes on this list don't just rely on venom. They rely on venom that works faster than your body can respond. And once that process begins, there's very little you can do on your own. At number 2, we enter a level of danger that most people never truly understand. Because by the time they do, it's already too late. The blue sea snake, found in the warm coastal waters of Southeast Asia and Australia, is one of the most venomous marine snakes on Earth. And what makes it so unsettling is not aggression, it's the complete lack of it. This snake doesn't chase humans, it doesn't defend territory aggressively. In fact, many encounters happen without any sense of danger at all. Divers and fishermen have come across these snakes, sometimes even brushing against them, not realizing what they're dealing with. And that's where the real danger begins. Because when the blue sea snake does bite, its venom is incredibly potent, targeting muscles and nerves with extreme efficiency. At first, the symptoms may feel mild, maybe a slight discomfort, maybe nothing at all. But then slowly, the body begins to change. Muscles weaken, movement becomes difficult, breathing becomes harder. And what makes it even more terrifying is that this process can happen quietly, without panic, without immediate warning. By the time the seriousness of the situation becomes clear, the body is already shutting down. This is not a dramatic instant attack, it's a silent one. And silence, in nature, is often far more dangerous than noise. And now, number 1. The snake that stands at the top of this list not because of how aggressive it is, not because of how often it attacks, but because of what it is capable of doing in the shortest amount of time.
The inland taipan, found deep in the remote regions of Australia, is widely considered the most venomous land snake in the world. But what makes it truly terrifying isn't just the strength of its venom, it's how that venom works. Because the inland taipan doesn't rely on a single type of toxin, its venom is a complex combination of neurotoxins, hemotoxins, and procoagulants, all working together at once. It attacks the nervous system, disrupts blood flow, and begins internal damage almost immediately after the bite. This isn't a slow process. It doesn't give you time to understand what's happening. In untreated cases, the effects can become life-threatening in a very short period of time. But here's the part that most people don't expect. This snake is not aggressive. It avoids humans whenever possible. It doesn't seek conflict, which almost makes it more unsettling, because it proves something important. The most dangerous creatures on Earth are not always the ones that attack the most. They are the ones that don't need to. The inland taipan doesn't rely on fear or speed or intimidation. It relies on efficiency. One strike and the process begins. And if you're not prepared, if you're not close to help, if you don't recognize what just happened, that single moment can define everything that comes next. And when you step back and look at all 10 of these snakes together, a pattern begins to emerge. The further you go down this list, the less time you have. At number 10, there's still a chance. At number 7, that chance starts to shrink. By the time you reach number 3, it becomes a race against time. And at number 1, time is no longer something you can rely on. Because the truth is, survival isn't just about avoiding danger, it's about recognizing it before it recognizes you. And that's something most people don't think about. Because we walk through forests, through fields, through beaches and oceans, assuming that we're in control, assuming that if something dangerous was nearby, we would notice it. But nature doesn't work like that. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't give you a clear signal. Sometimes it waits, quietly, patiently, for one mistake, one step, one moment where you forget that you're not alone in its world. And by the time you remember, it's already too late. So the next time you find yourself in nature, whether it's a trail, a beach, or somewhere far from where you feel safe, remember this. The deadliest things on this planet are not always the ones you fear. They're the ones you don't see, the ones you don't hear, the ones you don't recognize until the moment they decide to act. And when that moment comes, you don't get a second chance.